In this video, we're going to be moving on to the doors section, and we're simply going to build enough so we can get a nice visual without going too in depth. We'll cover doors in a more detailed view later on in this course. So when I click on doors, there's a couple catalogs that come by default. There's a door catalog and a stock catalog, and what I'm going to recommend is click on new catalog and just name it your company name. So I'm going to do Cabinet Explorer for me. And then click on catalog properties and set your default 5-piece construction. So I'm going to do 2 3/4 inch styles, default flat panel and 1/4 inch, and I'm going to just leave this. I'm going to say these are fine. Actually, I'll put 2 3/4 across the board here. So this is just kind of like when you click new door, this is what it's going to default to. It's not affecting anything globally. You're still going to have individual control over these. So let's click OK. And I want to add just a shaker door and then a slab drawer front. Again, this is just a quick introduction just so we can get some doors in here, and then we'll come back and cover this more detailed later. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to click this little icon and I'm going to rename it to solid. I'm going to create another one and call this slab. And this is kind of like the door material schedules. So you could name this solid or 5-piece or outsourced or whatever you want to call your 5-piece doors. And then this I'm intending to be like a plywood slab, like CNC cut doors. And so inside of each of these I want to have my doors and my drawer fronts. And you can just use the arrows to kind of align it. So I want to put that in each of them. So doors. Whatever you're highlighted on when you click the button is what it nests under. And drawer fronts. And again, use your discretion on how you need to organize these. Like I said, the names it's kind of hard to know what to name these to differentiate them, but this is intended to be my 5-piece solid wood doors, and this is intended to be my CNC cut doors. So I'm going to click on doors. And some of you might be wondering, well, why don't we just use this catalog? And you can, and a lot of people probably do, either the door or the stock catalog. In my opinion, like, I'll hang on to these so I can kind of reference them if I want, but I would much rather only see things that I added. So kind of like the clean slate video that we started with, this gives us a nice foundation to build off of. And it's not hard to replicate these doors. Okay, so now we're ready to add our first door. And so I'm going to go under solid doors. I'm just going to add kind of a shaker style door. So I'm going to highlight doors before I click new. And then I'm just going to call this shaker. It's going to be a multi-piece and then door. And we don't need tags or notes. Description's up to you. I don't care about it right now. And then here's the defaults we set in our catalog. And it's defaulting to list view, which I like to be an icon view. That way I can see it. And then just a couple of quick notes on the doors. If I double click into this, first of all I have my properties, and then I got a couple of things across the top that I need to look at. So if I go to design, here's where I can change, say I want to do a split panel, or say for this door it randomly needs to have a 5-inch top rail. This is where you do those type of design changes. So you can highlight on each of them and change the size of them, or you can highlight the panel and choose between the different panel types like glass door, raised panel, and all that stuff. You can choose horizontal grain, yes or no, and then you got your panel inset. So for this case, everything's right, so I don't need to do anything. And then in profile filter, we didn't create any profiles yet, and I don't really want to get into profiles just yet. Again, this is just, I want to get up and running as quickly as possible. So I'm going to pull one profile in. I'll just say bevel is allowed on this door. So whatever you want to allow, you just highlight and bring over. And then let's say we do bevel on the inside edge as well. And then nothing on the panel. Okay, so that's how the profile filter works. You just say what profiles are allowed on the door. And then we can go into material filter. And remember what we did on our door materials, how we separated our 5-piece and our slab. Well, this is a 5-piece door, so I'm going to only allow the cherry 5-piece. And then associations, we'll cover that in the future video. Okay, so there we have our shaker door. Now I want to go to drawer fronts and create a slab drawer front. So let's just name it whatever you want. Call it a drawer front. No route path. That's going to be for like your MDF doors, your route paths. Again, we'll cover that in a future video. So just leave it at slab. And then let's go in and do the same thing. Profile filter, let's allow bevel on the outside. 5-piece on those. Again, we could also call that solid, because like here, when we're talking about a solid wood door front, 5-piece doesn't really make sense, but use your discretion on the door material schedule namings. Okay, so we have a shaker door and a slab front. We could also create a plywood slab door. Call this a slab. And I'm just going to create this just so you kind of see the difference between what we did with our material schedules. So I don't need to do much design wise. It's already a slab. There's no stiles and rails, and it's not horizontal grain, so that's good. I don't need a profile filter, but I do want to pull that cherry slab over there. And then you can see edge banding is being applied all the way around, and our material schedule is going to agree with that and tell it what type of banding to use. So that's great. And then for drawer fronts, we'll do new, what did I call the other one? Plywood slab drawer front. Naming is the hardest thing here right when you're starting out. Okay, so let's set this up. I'm moving kind of quickly, but you can always rewind if you miss something. I don't need any profiles on this, but I do want to put that cherry slab material schedule. And here's where I also can make some decisions, you know, is this going to be a vertical grain slab or a horizontal grain slab? Probably I would make two separate door styles, one horizontal and one vertical, but I'm going to say it's horizontal grain for now. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I also need to, under my solid drawer fronts, I think I need to change this one to horizontal as well. There we go. So, just recapping what we did, we created a new door catalog. We added some categories here to be able to find them between solid and slab. And then we added a shaker 5-piece door and a solid drawer front. And then we added our slab doors. So we have plywood slab door and plywood slab drawer front.